Three, two, one.
Glowing Up Latina, Season 1, Episode 19.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Glowing Up Latina.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Christina.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Liana.
How are you guys doing?
Okay.
We're all hanging in there this morning. It's an
Yeah.
early morning for us.
It's been morning. Yeah, it is an early morning. This has to be the earliest we've recorded.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I think we did 9 a.m. one time.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Then no.
And
Not the earliest then.
I am tired, did not sleep well last night, so.
Was it hot in the apartment?
No, it wasn't hot. I just didn't sleep well. Like I kept tossing and turning and waking up for whatever reason. It was so annoying. I'm a very poor sleeper, but it's fine. We make do.
But when you were in Texas, it was okay.
Yeah, I actually sleep really good when I'm home.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Do you think it's like you being at home and you're like, your body knows it and you're at rest, or is it the mattress?
I think it's a little both.
Okay.
It definitely is a little both. I love my mattress on my bed at home. I think part of it, my nighttime routine is so much longer in New York. Not so much longer, but it is longer in New York than it is in Texas. Like I lay down like maybe about an hour before I'm ready to go to bed here. Whereas at home, I only give myself maybe 15 minutes because I can lay down and like be out pretty soon. Can't do that here.
Got you. I got you.
But what do y'all got going on? How's it going for y'all?
Good. Going to the beach today, so it's really exciting. It's my first time going to the beach this year. So
fun. It's such a nice day today, or it's supposed to be like really nice for the beach.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I wish. But it was like a hot weekend in New York this weekend. Yeah.
It's just been hot, like in general. I feel like we're at this point a lot earlier than we usually are.
No, yeah, definitely. You're right. Like it definitely warms up quicker than it usually does here in New York City. So
yeah, like usually
I guess
we're in
that's
July.
Good. Yeah. It has to be like
hot.
mid, yeah.
And we're only gonna get hotter. So exciting. Okay, so on today's episode, we're actually gonna be talking about setting boundaries, something I'm sure we're all really excited about to do in our Latinx households. So do you guys feel like y'all have trouble setting boundaries at all?
Occasionally, especially if like, because we're talking in terms of like family, right?
In general, at work.
Friends. I love my family. But so I think I have trouble sometimes setting boundaries, also given like the situation with like either it could be with friends, family, work. And I think to set those boundaries can be healthy for me and my mental state. However, I think if I'm setting boundaries, I need to learn how to like not seem like not interested in the person. Like I don't want to seem like I'm a bitch, sorry for lack of a better word. Like,
do you feel like when you're setting boundaries that you're coming off as selfish? Is that what you're struggling with?
Maybe selfish a little bit, or like standoffish. And then it comes off as like, oh, she doesn't like me, or she doesn't want anything to do with us or me.
Like disinterested?
So, yeah. I think that sometimes it can come off that way, even though that's not what I'm trying to do. But
okay.
Yeah. That's where I stand with that.
And what about you, Liana?
I feel the same way. I think when I'm trying to set boundaries, I've already reached a point where I'm frustrated with whatever's going on already, I guess, if that makes sense. And when I'm trying to set that boundary, I'm already coming off as mean or like I don't care or I'm being selfish or anything like that. So it's hard because I definitely see myself as a people pleaser. And so I want to be able to give myself like all of myself to like the people in my life, work related, friend related, family related, all of that. But then everyone has their breaking point, you know, like you can only do so much for somebody and you kind of have to know when to put a stop to it. And it sucks because like the more you give, like people just expect that out of you. And so when you pull back, it's just like, oh, so why are you being so mean? Why are you being so selfish now? Just like, first of all.
Yeah. If we count the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I am kind of with Amanda in that I struggle and people like seeing me as a bitch or seeing me as aggressive, for lack of a better word. And so when I have to like put boundaries in place, I think people are like taken aback because I see myself as one of those people who does whatever they can for the people that they care about and wants to be the best at whatever they're doing. So like when it comes to work, I think my boundaries can get pretty skewed. But coming into my job, I knew that. And this was my first like career job, like 40-hour a week, benefits, all that job. And so I knew coming in that I had this issue when it came to working. So like I don't answer emails on the weekend. I did answer one on my graduation day, even though I did not, like I shouldn't have, because they were just like, oh, I really want to talk to you about this. Can you give me a call today? And I was like, I am out on PTO. And I should have, my mom mentioned it afterwards, like you didn't set up a message, like an away message. And I was like, I should have.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. And I have had times, even with this job, where I do research on the weekends. And I'm really trying hard not to do that. I've done it like a handful of times in the 6 months that I've been there. But, and I tried to do the thing like, okay, well, you're paying me for 9 to 5. So you have me from 9 to 5 and that's it. It's hard though, because I feel like people make you feel like sometimes, especially with work, that if you're not giving your all, then you're not committed to your job. And then you must not be good at your job. Yeah. When that's not the case. Like we should have a work-life balance. And yeah, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that's your time. All of the other time is my time.
I definitely struggled with that too. Like when I first got the job that I'm in now, how old was I? I was fresh out of college. So I was like, what, 23, 22? And I was just so over eager. So like I was just taking on all of the projects, you know, because I didn't think about setting boundaries. I didn't think about, you know,
right.
I didn't think about my time, you know, because I wanted to be so good at my job because it was my first one. And so, and it's still the job that I have now has been my first job. So like I started out that way and now it's like, I feel like I have to continue that overachieving and everything. Like I've told you guys, like my manager left, her last day was last Friday. And so I have taken on a lot and not because anyone has told me to, but because it's just like, if I do this, it'll show that I care about my job. It'll show that I'm really good at my job. It'll show like all these things, but I need to set that boundary where it's just like, if I can't do this today, then I'm not doing it today. And I'm trying to tell myself that my job does not save lives. And so anything can wait until tomorrow. So work boundaries are hard.
Yeah, you make a good point there with work, especially, you know, it's true. If you set high expectations right off the bat, you know, people are going to always rely on you. Your superiors are going to always rely on you. Colleagues also, your coworkers going to rely on you and be like, oh yeah, you know, they can do it because I've seen them do it and take on these many projects. But the minute, you know, you need to step away or step back from, you know, taking on another task, it's like, but why? You were able to do it last time. How come you're not able to do this time? So then, yeah, then they see they get disappointed, and then at least for me, like I like get down on myself because I'm like, damn, Amanda, but you could take on the task. But it's like, but you also deserve like not to take on so much, because you already know like your work ethic. You know you can do a lot, but there's just times where you just got to be like, no, I need to step back. Could this be assigned to someone else at this time?
I also think it's hard when, like Liana said, it's your first job and you're just starting out. Like, you want to be the best. You want to show them they hired you for a reason.
Right.
But, American work culture is, if you're doing a great job, then we'll give you more work.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. I'm going to take a second to plug a podcast that's not ours, obviously. It's an NPR podcast called Rough Translation. In this season, they're examining work cultures in different countries. And it's been really interesting to listen to how much it differs from like US work culture.
No, I can imagine. Like I've heard like from like, is it Switzerland? No. One of those on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, that they have like a 4-day work week and they have a 3-day weekend, but like their work is like, so like they can go home for lunch and then they can go back to their job. And I'm just like, damn it. Like I would love that. Granted, like it'd take me way too long to get home for lunch, but still.
It's like that in Spain also, where they have like a siesta where they go in, I think they stop like around maybe noonish to about 2 or 3, and then you come back to work and you finish the day at like what, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's a nice gap in between where you're able to just take a break and then come back with a fresh mindset to work. There are times where I find myself just working all day, and then it's like 2:00 and I'm like, oh damn, I need to leave. Like I need to go take lunch because I leave at like 4:30. So it's like, or there were times where in another job, my job before this one, where I would just kind of like work through lunch because I needed to get all the work done. And I'm more of like I need to finish all of this by today, because let's say if the next day I get something new like assigned to me, or there's something new that I need to take care of, I don't want to be worrying about the stuff that wasn't finished the day before.
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
Set boundaries for work.
So would you guys say that work is the area of your life where you need to set boundaries, or is there maybe a different area that you came into this episode thinking about?
So I'm actually learning how to set boundaries for work, and I'm getting better at it. And so I think I'm trying now to work on boundaries with family now, because that's a little difficult to do sometimes, but that would be like the area but setting boundaries with family is an ongoing thing. Like that's not just something that you can just kind of like decide right then and there and then move forward and never think about it again. It's like it's going to be a continuous process. And because like for work, you can decide, no, I'm only going to do my job from 9 to 5 with a 1-hour break, and that's it, and only do my job. And that's a boundary that you can like literally do for as long as you work. But with family, dynamics change, the world changes, and with that, like your ideas of the world change and all that stuff. So setting those boundaries is hard, especially like when your beliefs and ideas differ from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you have to ease your family into it. Like you start out very small so you can build up to where you want to be. Because especially in Latinx households and in households of color, you're a unit. You're not just the individual person. You collectively work together, because it's not the case for everybody, but in my household, like we all work together for the other person to exceed. So if that means helping somebody with what they need help with, then we do it. Or like being there for somebody. It's different. It looks different now than it did when we were kids, obviously. But I don't even know if family is like somewhere where I need to set boundaries. My mom really helps me with that. But I think sometimes I like to think I'm like more integral to our family unit, which I know can sound kind of bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way.
Mhm.
But like all these people, they got on with their lives before me, and they'll get on with their lives after me. Like I am not integral to their life. Like I am in the sense they love and care about me, but like for their day to day, I am not integral. Like they don't need me because they're self-sufficient adults.
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes like if somebody asks me for help, I do feel like I have to say yes, which is something that I would like to work on. But I also feel like I don't know what a good way to say it is, because I don't want to say that I think that I'm more important than I am. That's not what it is.
No, I see what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
there are times where you just need to look out more for yourself in order for you to, like, that's how I see it. Look out for myself in order to be able to help you and work out whatever it is that we need to work out. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say.
I think a little bit, but I think sometimes I have this thought that like, well, if I don't do it for them, nobody else is going to do it for them.
Oh.
But like also they're very capable of figuring it out on their own. Like
Right.
that's everybody has that capability. And my mom was really helpful in like when I was setting for the bar and being like, okay, well, nobody bother Christina. Like she has to do this. And if you don't hear from her, it's not because she doesn't want to talk to you. It's just she's busy and she has a lot going on. So it was in that time period where I realized like everybody's fine, like without me, like they'll be okay. Like nobody's world falls apart because I'm not there to answer a question or help with something.
Right.
And so I feel like my family has been really good about respecting each other's boundaries for the most part. But of course, there are moments where it's like, hey, I need your help. Like, can you do this for me? I know you're really busy, but like, do this. So, like, that's one aspect of it. Also, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like when I'm invited to family events, I cannot say no, even if I would rather like do anything else in the entire world, like just lay in bed. That one's really hard for me.
That happened a couple of weeks ago where I wanted to say no, but I was just like, no, let me go. I don't want to be like the odd one and
You don't want to
not
be rude.
rude. I don't want to be rude. Same thing happened again. It's supposed to be for tomorrow. However, I spoke to the person because it's their birthday tomorrow, and I texted them and I was just like, hey, like I can't do it, but I'll find a way. We'll celebrate when we see each other again. So I did tell them that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Whenever my family has an event, I always try to go out of my way to be there, even if I had something else planned that day. Like I'm just like, okay, I need to do this for my family. And so I'll like make myself available, even though there's so much going on. Like I value spend their quality time more than what I would have been doing that day anyway, regardless if it sets me back a little bit. So I guess that's where like the trouble with setting the boundary is, because maybe, I didn't have to go to the family event, but
Right.
I don't know, like I don't want to not be there, because then I don't want them to think that I don't care, because I do.
Yeah, I definitely think it's hard in Latinx households, because it's like if you set the boundary, then you can be considered rude or selfish, or like you don't love your family or you don't care enough. But not to be rude, not to be disrespectful, but that's emotional manipulation. You can't do that to people. Like just because I don't show up
Yeah.
to the event that day, or because I would rather like be at home and decompress does not mean I don't love you guys.
Yeah.
Because we're always taught family first, right? Family comes first. And right. And that's what we try to do. We try to make, like you said, Liana, go out of our way to make sure that that's what we're doing and it shows. But then sometimes it's just like, you gotta, no disrespect, but I want to do this instead of family time. Understand that I do make an effort, and I hope it shows that you see that it makes an effort, that I attend every family event, but not even an event, but like if something is wrong, I'm there,
Yeah.
to help you with whatever situation is going on. But this time, I'm just going to take this time for myself and do something else. So we hope that they see that and they understand it. Maybe there's some family members that don't get it, but you can't win them all.
The whole setting boundaries thing, like not even just with my family, with people I care about, it's very hard for me because I never want someone to think that I don't care about them, because at that moment I'm not willing to help them. Like, I show my love through acts of service. And I like being useful to people. I like being helpful. So when I can't do those things, I also feel like, oh my gosh, this person is going to think that I don't care about them. And that's not the case. It just so happens at this moment, I cannot do what you need me to do. I do love you and I do care about you. So that gets hard for me. But also, people should know that you can't give them 100% all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like, I'm not a sim. Like, I have my whole life that I live. And I have to try to way to fit that in with what you're asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah, man, setting boundaries. It's just like, that's just the underlying thing. It's just so hard because you don't want people to think that you don't care.
But
when
you
in
do.
reality,
And in fact, you do.
I need to set these boundaries so that I can care for you more.
I set a boundary with a specific family member, and if they, they do call, and then when they call, like sometimes I happen to miss their call, and it's not because like I'm ignoring the call. I'm either busy off doing something, I wasn't near my phone, and then if I'm calling you back, I hope that but if I call you back right away, and when I realize I missed the call, I hope that you understand, like that's me like reaching out, like I'm so sorry, but I'm giving you a call back. But if you're not returning my call, like I feel like that's you saying no, or like I already tried reaching you. You were busy, like you didn't pick up my call. Now I have to pick up your call, like. But you don't understand what I was doing at the moment. I was doing something. It's not that I was ignoring you. All right. And then not only that, you don't want to answer. Then if I shoot you a text message like, hey, and I let you know what I was doing, and I just realized I missed your call, and you still don't answer back, or you want to be stank over the phone and give me a call back. Like, I also don't need that. Like, call me because you want to talk to me. Don't call me now because you're mad and now you have to be on the phone with me because, we were playing phone tag. That's just how it is. All right. There are other forms of communication other than you giving me a call. You can send me a text message and find out like, hey, is this a good time for me to text you? Okay, great. Yeah, I'll let you know. But sometimes that's the reason why I have to set boundaries, because you're not getting it. You don't understand. You think that whenever you call, I'm supposed to pick up your phone call right away. But because you don't call enough, you don't know what's going on in my life currently for you to understand how busy I am. So that's why we said, I love you. I care for you. You need me, I will be there. But sometimes I have to know when to draw a line and know when to not I can't give myself entirely, because I give you all of me, and then you want to, what is it? I give you, what's that saying?
You give them an
You give
inch
an
and they
inch,
take a
I
mile.
give an inch, you take a mile. It's not like that, because I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's crazy. I also have someone in my family that is like that. And I've had to learn, Ma, what do I say? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to set this boundary. I need you to help me. And she's just like, listen, Mija, if I were you, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need. Tell me what you would do if you were me. But it's hard because like there's this person and they would just make you feel bad for not talking to them, make you like just with comment, like random like petty comments
Yeah.
and like little snags like that. And it's just like, this is why I'm setting this boundary, because when we talk, these are the things that you say, and so why should I have to listen to that when all I have given you is respect? And I definitely don't give you these snarky comments or whatever. And so why am I getting them? Because you're mad that I don't call you. You can call me too. And so I can't, I have learned how to keep that relationship at arm's length, because if I allow it to get any closer than that, then it'll be hurtful in the end. So sometimes you just got to know that arm's length is as far as you can go. So
It kind of sounds like we're all saying that, we know our limits when it comes to certain people, which is something that you need to know your limits in order to set boundaries. Because if you don't know like what makes you comfortable, or you don't know what stresses you out, then it'll be hard for you to know like, hey, I need to put this, not necessarily a wall up, but I need to set this line. Like once we get here, I'm gonna step back. It definitely is hard. I do think it's possible to set boundaries with your family. It's just, I think a lot of it is that it needs to be thorough communication, which is something I know that I struggle with. Like people cannot read your mind, and you can't read people's minds. So all parties involved need to be willing to share what's happening or how they're feeling. Feelings are a hard one for Latinx people.
Yeah, it is really hard because they don't want to talk. They just want to like sweep it under the rug and move on, even though now they hate this person for like the next 30-20 years. And it's just like, we could have solved this 20 years ago.
I've seen that in my family, where one little thing can happen, or it could be a big thing. I shouldn't say little. And it's like, then because it's not out in the open and because it's not discussed, people start to feel away, they start to feel resentment, animosity. And I recall, like, as a kid, witnessing like family meetings go down.
Oh, me too.
And like because it was serious, where it's just like, no, we need to discuss this and we need to nip it in the bud. And that's fine. And they did discuss whatever the issue was. And however, I just feel like something more needed to be done in order to break whatever it was that still continued to go on with the family. Like it didn't change. It didn't change. The dynamic did not change. It was still very much there. It's just, I don't know. I guess maybe sometimes families aren't meant to, be a unit and work as a unit, or it just takes one person. And it's unfortunate, maybe that it does take one person to be that mediator to bring the family together and discuss and hash things out. Because I guess if you don't have that mediator, then you see it still the family just like kind of, I don't want to say fall apart, but just like lose touch.
I agree with you though, but like because like my family's like that too. My family is very much, we're a unit, you know, we have to stick together, we have to stay together. And a lot of that changed when my grandparents passed away, because they were really like the rock of the family. And so now we're at the point in all of our lives where we're trying to maintain that closeness, that union. But it's hard because, you know, you now don't have your grandparents who tell you things right to your face, you know. Now oh, this person said this to me. Okay, well, now I'm not going to talk to them for like the next 20, 30 years, you know. So I don't know why 20, 30 years is like the thing in my head right now, but
maybe
a long time.
Maybe it does feel like that.
You know, so like there's two people that I know haven't spoken in the longest time, and they grew up together, and it's just crazy because it's like, I bet if our grandparents were around, this situation would not have escalated to the point that it is now.
Ooh,
So now so
that's
now
what
like we see our older generation setting these boundaries, but like not in the best way.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I do also think though that it's important to realize like sometimes that boundary of we're not going to speak anymore, sometimes you just got to do it. Sometimes there is too much history, there is too much animosity or stuff, for lack of a better word, between two people. And if sometimes all it takes is an apology from one person, and if that person's not willing to give it, or maybe even an apology for both people, but if those two people aren't willing to like come to that place, then it is better off that, you know, you guys don't speak. Sometimes, you know, sometimes those boundaries are needed. And so if you feel like you're a better person, or you are happier when you're not speaking to certain people in your family, by all means, go ahead. Just because these people are your blood does not give them the right to disrespect you, does not give them a right to talk to you any way that they see fit. I think one of the big things in Latinx households is that, oh, that's your parents, they can talk to you however you want. But no, your parents still have to treat you with respect. Your parents, are your parents always going to say the right thing? No, not. They're humans. They're not. And when we have kids, if we choose to have kids, we're not always going to say the right thing to our kids. And we're definitely going to make mistakes. But the underlying thing in any familial relationship is that you respect each other and that you come at each other from a place of love. When you're coming at somebody from hate or any other type of negative emotion, I say toss them. You don't need them. You don't need that. You should feel valued in your familial relationships. And you should never feel guilty for having to set that boundary with people. Or in that case, it would be a wall. And I say put it right up.
I think that's where I was going with Christina when you said like you could say sorry, but if some family members are not meant to just, you know, again, be a unit and not talk to each other, and that's what works for them. I think that's where I was going with that. It happens. It's unfortunate, but it happens. And if the outcome is that you do see that each individual is about their life and they're fine and they're happy and, you know, not interacting with each other and they're okay with it, then that's what it needs to be. And I think that's where other family members tend to have a hard time with that. They're like, oh, but you're related to them. You're related to them, you know, that's family. You're supposed to work it out. You're supposed, like, it took me a while to understand that, relationships cannot be fixed overnight, or relationships cannot be fixed in like years or months or weeks. There's no time frame, there's no duration, because that's it. It's done. It's not going to come back. It is what it is. And everyone has to go about their own way. And then like trying to play mediator can also like just take a toll on you. And it's just like, well, I'm not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I'm not there. there's no end result here. Well, the end result is that that's it. There's no relationship anymore. And if that's what it needs to be, then that's what it needs to be.
So can you guys think of an area of your life, or maybe a person, you don't have to name them obviously, but where you set a boundary like in a healthy way and everything has turned out okay, like it turned out better than you thought it was going to?
Like communicate, like actually like have a conversation with the person, and or
Either you had a conversation like, hey, this is how it's going to be from now on, or you did those things to like slowly ease them into the boundary and everything turned out fine.
Kind of just
I
set the
don't-
boundary and just like hoped it worked out well.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if maybe I've done it and I don't notice it, or maybe like it's just to happen naturally with some relationships, but to communicate with someone and tell them like, hey, this is how I feel about us, and this is what we need to do in order for me to love you and care for you. I have not had that conversation, and maybe I need to. Maybe it'd be healthy for me. It might be healthy for the other person too.
It's a hard
But
conversation.
let me tell you, hard conversation, and especially when two people are the same way, I don't think.
That just
Not
made
sure
me
how that would go
sweat.
down.
I'm like sweating right now.
I don't know that I've ever had that conversation with somebody, but I know that definitely in my work life,
Okay.
of course, I've crossed that boundary a few times. I think sometimes boundaries do get crossed, and that's when you have to reevaluate. But definitely in my work life, like not even just in my job that I have currently. So even in law school, my boundary was I was not going to pull all-nighters. I was not going to study past a certain time. And I was not, if I couldn't get something done for class the next day and I realized like it's getting late, I would stop studying at like 8 or 9 o'clock. Of course, that gets extended when you're during finals time, but I really tried to set a boundary for 8 o'clock. And if I knew something wasn't getting done, then I would make a plan on how I would get it done before my class the next day. And that was really important for me because some people will tell you that you can't go to law school and not do all-nighters. For me, I suck on zero sleep. Like I'm just the worst person imaginable. And also like I'm not retaining anything when I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to set those boundaries for myself. And it was really hard my first year because you saw people everywhere like going so hard and it worked for them. But I know me, and I hope none of you guys ever meet me on zero sleep. It's not fun. It's not a good time for anybody. One of the things that kept coming up during bar prep, because during bar prep, you're just miserable the whole time. And one of the memes I kept seeing was God has allowed me to live another day and I'm going to make it a problem for everybody. And I was like, yes, that's literally my life right now.
That's funny.
But it's hard because during bar prep, like you can't have those boundaries. You can have the boundary of like, when I finish my stuff, I can go home. And that's about it. But it was 2 months out of my life. We made it through it. We're good to go.
Yeah, I think like with family, it's definitely one of those situations where like I would set the boundary naturally and just hope it just works out the way I want it to. I haven't had like that sit down conversation to just be like, hey, so this is what you did and I didn't like that, or like, hey, I know you asked for my help for this, but I can't do it. But definitely, so I haven't had that conversation, and I don't think I would want to because I think I would literally shit bricks. And so
I think part of it comes back to like what I was saying earlier, that like it's hard in Latinx families to talk about your feelings, to have that open communication. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
But it's doable. It's definitely doable. Please take that away from this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But for work, I do set boundaries. Now I set boundaries now, because before I was just like, yeah, I can do everything. Send me all of the projects. But now I'm just like, I am one human and I cannot do these millions of projects. So now I am getting to the point where it's just like, this is not this is not something that I would usually handle. This is the person that can handle this, or something to that regard. Because usually I would just be like, oh, I can figure this out for you. And like, I would go ahead. If I'm feeling really nice and generous, I would do it. But still something I'm working on. But like, if I already know that I have too much on my plate and adding this thing is going to kind of overwhelm me, I'll guide them in the right direction, but I won't like take on the project.
Boundaries are definitely doable. Is it hard? Of course it is. Confrontation is hard in general, but I would say when you learn yourself and when you have self-respect, it gets easier. I think sometimes I would overextend myself because I didn't fully respect like my own autonomy. And when I learned like I'll love these people better if I set these boundaries, and I'll love myself better when I'm not overextending myself, it got a little easier, like marginally. I also just like, I hate coming off as rude. Like I don't like it. So definitely doable though, you guys, I would say. What do y'all think?
It's doable. And then like I think with me, like I think if like with setting the boundaries, I end up feeling guilty for doing that. I put a lot of guilt on, like I blame myself, like, Amanda, why are you even doing this? It's not cool. But if it's what's gonna make me like be at peace, then that's what needs to be done. So, but I definitely get the guilt part first. And then afterwards, the reward is okay, weight off my shoulders. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it is doable. It's very possible. Like Christina and Amanda say, like it's the guilt first, but then you feel good after, because now you can be like, okay, I'm back with the clear head, and now I can be here for you, help you out with whatever you need. But I was only able to do that because I set that boundary. But yeah, respect yourselves, love yourselves, set your boundaries.
And don't forget, you guys, we will be back next week with our final episode of the season. It is a fan request. We are so excited. Yeah. It feels so right to end a season with a fan request because we are so thankful for you guys.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
Kind of sad, but excited.
I know.
You know, we're wrapping up the season, but it's great. Look, we've come this far. And to end it with a fan request. So it's great.
You guys, do you have anything that's making you glow before we go? Glow before you go.
Okay, I see those bars. Okay, let's see. A glow. Oh, I got my new work desk set up here. So I'm really excited because before I was just working like on a lap desk. And so it was just very complicated I don't know. It was very hard for me to like stay motivated and like focus for work. But now that I have my designated space, I can be more focused now. So that's good.
We love that. We love that. What's making me glow this week? I got my nails done and I got a pedicure. So it's making me feel extra pretty. So now when I type, I have pretty nails. Yeah.
My glow for the week. I'm actually getting ready to deep clean my apartment. And I know it doesn't sound like that should be a glow, but trust me, for me, it definitely is. I'm so excited that that's what I'm going to spend the day doing. And then tomorrow I'll have a lovely clean apartment. It'll be so exciting.
You wake up and it's nice and clean. You're like, my home. Yeah.
Also, you just look around, you're like, I did this.
Yes. I love that feeling. I'll stare. I'll stare at the living room.
Me too.
When people come in, this is what they see. Okay. I'm like, okay. All right. Okay. I love it.
So, Liana, when can the people find us?
You guys can catch us next week on our final episode. wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And then you can find us on Instagram at Glowing Up Latina. Continue to like our posts. We will still be posting after the last episode of the season. Don't worry, we're still going to be sticking around. So continue to check out our Instagram page, again, at Glowing Up Latina. Continue to send us how you're glowing for the week. We love it. Or suggestions, topics for next season. And you can send that at glowinguplatina@gmail.com.
And until next time, keep glowing, mija.